Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another of our webinar Wednesdays, number 29 since we've started this series of managing your small business through the pandemic. We plan on being here every Wednesday as long as small businesses need us, and there's need for topics, especially the one we're talking about today. A great topic on crowdfunding and other stuff. So let's get on with it. As you know from your attendance, that we're part of the America SBDC program, all 50 states, 6 territories, 56 programs in all. We're part of the Central California region, which includes most of those counties throughout Central California. And we have centers, our center is located in Bakersfield. We have centers in Clovis, in Merced, Modesto, in Monterey County, and San Luis Obispo. So reach out if you have any questions, you have any need for consulting, anything that comes up, training, consulting, whatever, reach out to your local SBDC. So as most of you know, I'm Kelly Bearden, and I'm the director of the CSU Bakersfield Center. And here in Bakersfield, right in here in Kern County, we cover these 3 counties of Kern, Inyo, and Mono. You've heard me refer to it as kind of the Italy of California without the heel. And we cover this area. So if you have any immediate needs for services in those areas, contact us. But let's move on. We've got a great guest speaker today, and I really want to get to her as quickly as possible. We got a few things to go over. So before we go on what's going on with today, let's jump immediately into the polls today. So our polling today, we're going to have a few questions. Let's start with, first of all, what is your biggest concern as a business owner? So launching this poll, and what is your biggest concern as a business owner? And you can take multiple choices if you'd like. Maybe kind of point your highest, but it's the financial resources for your business. It's marketing, getting your customers back to your store. It's legal considerations from COVID. It's getting reopened and restarting your business. And of course, the great unknown. And if there's other choice that you have, please feel free to put that in your survey or put it in the chat box when we're done. Use the chat box today in order to actually, if you have any production issues, any other questions, for the questions and answer series we're going to get into afterwards, please go to the Q&A box and put those in. So going to have time for questions and answers, but our first poll question is, what is my biggest concern as a business owner? We will accept multiple choices. Financial, is it marketing? Is it legal? Is it getting your business reopened and started? Or is it the great unknown? So we have about 66% of you that have voted right now. And so I'm gonna give you another couple seconds, up to 70, 72%, 74. Let's close the poll. Okay, thank you for voting on our first poll. We're gonna end it and share the results with you. And your biggest concerns as a business owner is number 1, financial, 65% of you. 2 out of 3 say financial resources for my business is my biggest concern. Understandable with what's going on, and the fact that many of you that do have PPP money, it's probably about expended if it's not already. So 65% of you, financial resources, and it's the unknown, the great unknown about not knowing where we're actually going, 48%. Also legal considerations, what could possibly happen from any potential legal actions from customers, employees, etc., 20%. 18% is marketing and getting my customers back, and 15% is getting reopened and restarted in my business. And other 5%, I'd like to know those others too. So thank you. I'm going to stop sharing that first poll question, and we're going to go up and open up our second one. And it's got to do with our guest speaker, who I'll introduce in a little bit, and our kind of topic of the day, which is crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is a great resource, as you'll learn, for new businesses, existing businesses, reopening businesses, etc. So our question on crowdfunding today is going to deal with your personal background and experience. And launching the poll, my background experience in crowdfunding is I've contributed to either a Kickstarter, Gofundme campaign. I viewed or invested in equity crowdfunding. I have viewed or invested in real estate or debt crowdfunding. I've looked at the Kickstarter or Gofundme platforms, or I have no experience at all in crowdfunding. So get in and vote. We have about half of you are in now. So keep the votes coming. And again, your background experience with crowdfunding. Have you contributed to a Kickstarter, GoFundMe? Have you looked at a equity crowdfunding site? Not even asking if you invested, but if you looked at it even, or debt or equity type or crowdfunding. If you viewed a quick Kickstarter or GoFundMe, or you have no experience. Okay, we got 68% of you in. We're going to end this poll. I'm going to share the results with you. And 71% have no experience in crowdfunding. So you're in for a real treat today, because you will after today. 71% of you have no experience in crowdfunding. 20% of you have contributed to a Kickstarter or GoFundMe, 1 in 5. Another 15% have gone and looked on Kickstarter, GoFundMe type platforms. And then 5% have either viewed or invested in an equity crowdfunding site or looked at real estate or debt crowdfunding. Okay, so there you have it. So thank you for actually participating in those two polls. Oh, well, let's have another one. It's going to do this one a little bit later, but let's get it out of the way, because you are in a voting mode right now. So the next one is going to deal with next week. And I was going to deal with next week later in the week, but we're here. So for next week's webinar, number 30, what would you, our webinar customer, like to see? Would you like to see another dynamic guest speaker? Would you like an hour recap of PPP forgiveness? Would you like a pleasant mix of the two? Or other? And please put it in either the survey or the chat box, or what else you would like to have. Your information and your feedback is important to this continuing. So please let us know the direction you want to go, because you're actually picking the show for next week. And it's a 2-horse race here as we head down the stretch, with 59% of you that have voted, up a little bit now into the 63% range. And right now it's between an hour recap of PPP and a pleasant mix between the two of a guest speaker and also some PPP. So last chance with 71% of you in. Let's end the poll and share the results. And right now it's 43% of you. It's like a pleasant mix of the two. So a pleasant mix is what you're going to get. And we will definitely have a pleasant mix next week, as we're going to have this week. So thank you. That is very valuable, and takes us now to exactly where we want to be. So what is up? What is up today, September 30th? Yes, we do have a tendency of having this very same question all the time. Given the date, September 30th, who would have believed that? Gosh. So what is up today is, well, we're going to look at some of the local programs, and because we have quite a few of them going on, we'll go in and look at some of the websites briefly and see what is happening pandemic-wise, what is happening about getting all of our restaurants, salons, gyms, and other businesses open. We're also going to look at some of the state trends and some of the things that are happening. The state trends are a little more favorable, and we are pretty happy that we are at least trending now in the right direction here in California. But really, some of the things that's going on with the state are not very happy for us in Kern County at all. So we're going to also have some other updates and actually go through and kind of look at, see what else we can do as far as our updates on the stimulus stalemate. Boy, I tell you, thought we might have a stimulus deal by now, but now it might be another month or 2 or 3 or 4, but we'll have one eventually. And then also do our PPP forgiveness quick review and introduce our special guest on crowdfunding. So that's what we're doing today. So let's actually move to now our particular what is happening in the COVID dashboard and what's happening here in Kern County. We're seeing actually that we're seeing a drop in cases and we're starting to see a leveling out. We're still not to the point to where we're fortunate enough to where we can actually get our businesses opened and kind of go from there. But there's the dashboard and the cases that we've had, the statistics, and breaking it down by ethnicity and gender and things like that. But really what we're interested in is really going over to a lot of the things that we see on the blueprint from the state. And so the state dashboard is really the one. As you recall, for now about 4 weeks, we've been into this 4-tiered system: purple, red, orange, and yellow. Whereas the majority of us started in the purple, where you have more than 7 daily new cases per 100,000 in population and a positivity rate of 8%. Now, the problem has been is that now, for example, us in Kern, as we show you the statewide map here, and there were 7 states that, or 7 counties that moved from purple to a less restrictive red tier. And one of those is Fresno County here, and another is San Joaquin County. So the San Joaquin Valley is actually starting to trend better. Kern County, along with Stanislaus County, both of them actually had lower rates that would have set us up for the red move, but after it was adjusted for the number of tests, which is a factor where they actually, if you don't have as many states as the state average, your factor actually gets, you get applied a factor and it goes over the amount as it did in both Stanislaus and Kern counties. So that is kind of the ire of local businesses and local officials, is that how we are under the mandate to where we can get our restaurants open 25% inside at least. And that's the big move of that particular tier. So trending in the right direction, just not getting there fast enough. So some of the programs that we still have that are available is we have the PPE program, and the PPE program for Kern County, where your business can get free PPE, and it's in the mask, gloves, sanitizer, and also the wipes. Everybody loves the wipes. So there you go. Number of employees served, 46,000 by 1,927 businesses in 69 industries, and pick up by location. A number of them are in throughout Kern County, in Bakersfield and Delano, and many of the other places. And by product over here, there's still time. The program is still open to my understanding, and you can actually go to the Kern Recovers website and you can order online through a different process. Now there is actually kind of a little form to fill out that's very easy and gentle and actually can get you going that right direction. So the PPE program is open. If you are a small business that would benefit from it, please take advantage of it. A number of our other local programs, in addition to PPE in Kern County, in Inyo and Mono, my understanding is there's still some distribution going on through the chambers of commerce there. So if you're in Bishop or in a number of different locations in Inyo County, such as Lone Pine, check with your local chamber and see if there's something going on. The same is true with Mono County, either Mammoth Lakes or any of the 5 other chambers throughout Mono County. Both Inyo and Mono also have a loan program that in Inyo, it's up and going. In Mono, it's coming. So keep your eye on that for some of the financial resources if you're in those communities. Here we introduced last week the City of Bakersfield Business Assistant Grant Program, and it is open and you can apply. Here's the size that actually will be based on the number of full-time equivalent employees that you have in your business. So if you have 1 to 5, you can apply for a grant up to $5,000. And it goes up to 25 full-time employees where you can receive $20,000. Again, these are only for businesses located in the city of Bakersfield. So if you're just outside in the unincorporated areas of Kern County, sorry, you will not apply for the City of Bakersfield Cares program. So there's money for both small businesses here, but there's also money for nonprofit organizations. And so with nonprofit entities, there's also an excellent opportunity for you as well. Nonprofits have been really devastated, and they do have an allocation of about $2 million that's given to that particular program. So take advantage of your local resources. They're there. Take advantage of them by all means. Okay, let's move on. Our question of the week. So last week we had our question of the week. Thank you for sending in your questions. Try to pick the one that has the most relevance for most individuals. And the question is, my PPP loan is through Bank of America. And they opened their loan forgiveness portal this week. And that was telling to me, because most of the major banks, Chase, Bank of America, Wells, had said that they were going to hold out for more guidance. Well, we haven't had guidance in about 7 weeks now. So guidance may not be coming, so they are starting to open up. If you go to their website, it doesn't say that they're open, but what they're doing is they're notifying their borrowers through email. So individual had 3 questions. What is the determining factor with 8 weeks versus 24 weeks? Second question was, when applying for the loan, 2.5 months were used to determine the loan amounts. That's correct, 2.5 months out of the calendar year 2019 in most of your cases. If going with the 8-week period, that is less than 2 months, and it appears that it might not reach the full amount of the loan. Is there a way to reconcile that discrepancy? Okay, so we will look at some of the other options that you have. If you don't reach the amount with your payroll 100%, there are other options. We'll discuss the 8 to 24 weeks. I have emailed B of A, and they provided the forgiveness guidance, but have not yet received an answer. If not, does your office provide assistance with loan forgiveness process? Yes, we will. A number of our consultants worked with borrowers on getting the actual PPP loan. We're just now kind of coming up with our strategy for the best and efficient way to provide forgiveness advice to a very wide range of activities. So let me start with the easy one. Yes, and actually let's incorporate a poll question into that next week. And we will actually see the way that you would like to see, if you have any questions through the SBDC, how we can answer those for you. So let's hit these other 2 questions, and let me change screens here for a second and actually bring up an old friend of ours. Yes, the old PPP by the numbers. So you'll recall this is our handling the middle question there, and if you can't use it all for payroll, what are your options? First of all, on your payroll, it's also, in this particular instance, it started on 4/20. So 4/20/20 was when the PPP began, and that was the date you received the funds. And in this case, for 24 weeks, it ends on October 4th. Okay, now you can use it for payroll, but also you can use it for rent, and you can use it for utilities, and you can use it for any type of interest or other mortgage payments. So there are other things that you can use it for if you don't use it all on payroll. And also it is incurred or paid. So if you had a payroll on 4/20, like the first day of your period, then what you can do is you can actually go back up to 14 days for that particular payroll period. So it's paid or incurred. And by the same token, if you have a payroll on the 4th of October, that could be included as well. So you have wiggle room on both ends with paid or incurred, and you also have a number of other expenditures. Now on the 8 or 24 weeks, this is just from the Excel workbook that we've used on many different occasions. And what you see is that we have both 8 or 24 weeks. Why might you use 8 weeks? Well, the funds were expended in 8 weeks, and you're likely to get the full forgiveness and didn't want to wait the entire 24 weeks. You met the full-time requirement, the full-time equivalent requirement, without needing to rely on one of the safe harbors. You received an EIDL loan for working capital, and it's in place, so you're going to start utilizing your EIDL loan now. You're in a hard-hit area and anticipate future stimulus. Might be another area. For example, there's been a lot of discussion about restaurants and hospitality. lodging properties that were so impacted by the pandemic. So you anticipate future stimulus in those areas. Also, the time to repay, 24 weeks. And also, if your loan was made pre-June 5th, you have the option of going 8 or 24. If it's after June 5th, you are mandated by 24 weeks. Now, you don't have to wait for the entire 24-week process. You can elect the 24-week process and conclude it after week 10 or week 12 or week 24. So that's an important factor to remember between 8 and 24. So why might 24 be better? Well, it gives you more time to spend the money and reach your 60% payroll goal for forgiveness. And also the cash flow that you have might be able to augment you over a longer period of time, especially if you're starting to generate revenues and get back to a normal type business cycle. So again, you can file early, even when your funds are expended. And if you were a self-employed individual who made $100,000, then you would be eligible, as we discussed last week, for a maximum of $20,833. And you would need the 24 weeks in order to reach that particular cap, because at 8 weeks, that pay cap would be $15,385. Okay, thank you for the question. I do have a bonus question that's going to take much less time. It's, hello, Mr. Bearden, please call me Kelly. I got a $20,000 EIDL loan, and I have a business car loan from 1 year ago. Can I make that monthly payment? And the answer is yes. Whereas the EIDL loan is for working capital, it also includes notes payable that were in place at the time of the pandemic. So if it was before, I believe the date was February 15th, that notes payable was in place, the payments, monthly payments can be made. So there we go. Okay, now onto the good part of the show, as I like to say. So it's my pleasure to be able to introduce our guest speaker today. And our guest speaker is going to be Ruth Hedges. And of course, when I go to pull up her stuff, it disappears on me like Zoom likes to do to me. So being, stubborn like I am, I'm gonna win this. So there we go. Okay, we have the Queen of Crowdfunding here, as anointed by Forbes magazine. Ruth Hedges is one of the foremost authorities on crowdfunding. It's one of the original pioneers of the legislation that was signed into law back in April 5 of 2012. I remember getting a call that day from a champion, a small business champion in our community, saying that it had passed. She was honored with the invitation to the White House for the official crowdfunding signing and the Champions of Change event that happened back in 2012. Ruth also, I'm going off the lib a little bit here, ad-libbing. She also did a wonderful conference for many years in Vegas, and really it's where I got to meet Ruth. And her global crowdfunding conference would attract attendees from around the world, and about 700 or 800 of them. And it was really the attendee was kind of an A+ list. You factor me in and I've dragged the curve down to about a solid A, but really outstanding event. Really got to know her well, got to know a lot about crowdfunding, really share her passion for it, and really know how crowdfunding can make a difference in the pandemic and for new startups. It's underutilized. Please help us spread the word. Ruth, take it away.
Thank you so much. It's my honor and pleasure to be here with all of you. I really appreciate you giving me the time to share my knowledge, especially during this horrible pandemic and recession. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do a small presentation. It's some segments from an event that I did last month for Microsoft. We had over 2,000 people attend. And we don't have the full time to do this. So I'm going to show you some clips from this event so that we will have some sort of a basis to have a Q&A afterwards, since so many people are unfamiliar. But you'll see me kind of go around and have to start and stop at different points, because I'm trying to get certain segments of the event so that you guys can all see it. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to play this. All right, here we go. Is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is the practice of funding a project, new venture, or a small business by raising small amounts of money from a large number of people via the internet. If done correctly, it can also be a lifeline when your business is struggling during the COVID-19 pandemic, and while you are waiting on grants or loans that may or may not ever come. Crowdfunding is significant because it proves there is a market for a product or support for an idea or a small business's survival. Since the launch of equity crowdfunding, there are countless examples of crowdfunding that have seen millions of dollars raised to support new products and the expansion of many small businesses that would not have ever gotten VC or angel capital or a small business loan. And these new regulations now allow everyone to take part in equity crowdfunding. The general public can now have actual ownership in businesses whose vision or survival they believe in. And it sets the future for future investment from angel or VCs who were too nervous to invest in a business, but now see validation and new customers from the crowd. There are no better customers than ones who also owns some equity. They will come back time and again and bring everyone with them to show off their investment. How can I use the proceeds? According to Gofundme, businesses that have used its platform to cover coronavirus losses have used the money they raised for any and all of the following: monthly rent or mortgage payment, health insurance for employees, paid sick time for employees affected by COVID-19, crisis pay for employees who aren't sick but are out of work, employees who need time off to care for their children, other operational expenses you're struggling to pay, matching discounts for their donations spread out over time, discounted gift cards for when business is back to normal, priority booking for service-based businesses, free upgrade or add-on service, buy one now, get two during the first few weeks of business. Crowdfunding by the numbers. 17.2 billion is generated yearly through crowdfunding in North America alone. Projections for the crowdfunding market suggest that it will reach astronomical heights within the next few years. In fact, Statista projects a compound annual growth rate of 14.7% for the next 4 years. Funds raised through crowdfunding grew 33.7% last year. There were 6,455,080 worldwide crowdfunding campaigns. Fully funded crowdfunding projects have an average of 300 backers. The average pledge for fully funded projects is $96. The average pledge for all crowdfunding projects is $88. The crowdfunding market is projected to grow to 300 billion by 2030, and there are projected to be 12,063,870 campaigns by 2023. There are four main types of categories of crowdfunding. There's reward-based crowdfunding, donation-based crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding, and debt-based crowdfunding. The first type of crowdfunding is reward-based crowdfunding. It is coming together through individual contributions to collectively fund something: a business, a film, an art project, a student's tuition, disaster relief, Olympic dreams. They can get personal thank you notes, product samples, t-shirts, free services, Twitter posts, party invitations, and the best reward is the product that's being manufactured at below manufactured suggested retail price. Okay, so we're going to move on to another of technology companies and projects posted by women on Kickstarter were funded compared to 30% for men. Our future depends on women's ability to access capital using crowdfunding. We have to do everything we can to educate them about crowdfunding so more women can use it and understand the power they now have to create their piece of the American dream with this method. There's also lots of happy endings in crowdfunding. Samsung scooped up a crowdfunding company for $200 million called Smart Things. It was a home automation company, and it began life as a Kickstarter project with an initial goal of $250,000. It raised $1,209,000 from 5,694 backers. Then the company raised an additional $15.5 million in venture capital, including $12.5 million Series A round of funding, and Samsung scooped it up for a reported $200 million. What are the advantages of crowdfunding? When funding from the government and nonprofits falls short, crowdfunding can be a lifeline. Online crowdfunding removes the traditional barriers that typically exist when asking for support, making it simple to overcome financial obstacles quickly. Here are some of the main advantages of crowdfunding. One, there is no application process. There are no long wait periods to receive your funds. Free crowdfunding sites don't charge a sign-up fee and don't charge a platform fee, allowing you to keep more of what you raise. Crowdfunding takes the fear out of asking for financial help. It's simple to share your crowdfunding campaign with your customers, your network of friends, and your family members on social media. And crowdfunding makes it easy to reach people outside of your network. There's also lots of diversity in crowdfunding. We found this really cool site called Pink Start Me, and it's an LGBT site with lots of cool crowdfunding campaigns. Then we have donation-based crowdfunding on platforms like Gofundme. COVID-19 fundraisers on Gofundme so far have reached over 15,890 and counting in just a few months. Let's take a look at some of the campaigns on Gofundme.
I was always born and raised here in the Lower Ninth Ward, and this was my home. Yeah. And my home was suffering, so when your home is suffering, you're supposed to do something about it. It was a whole lot of blood, a whole lot of sweat, and my entire life savings. But I would do this all over again because the people that came to the store, it's phenomenal. I've had people come in here and cry because now they have a place where they can come and wash their clothes or to grab something to eat. This was a dream of mine, and it feels so good seeing my dream come true. Because you shouldn't have to catch 3 buses just to get a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. That's an undue hardship. But I'm glad that I did do this here. I have no regrets. I will do this all over again. My first business was the barbershop. The reason why I did the barbershop first is because I had to keep stream of revenue coming in. But my ultimate goal was the grocery store. Because I didn't know what a food desert was until I started this here. But now we have the food desert gone. Because now you can come here and get a loaf of bread. You can come and get a gallon of milk. We can use. People come daily. Just last week, I had a lady come in and ask me to open up a funeral home. People come in every day. Burnell Bill this. The kids want me to do like a Chuck E. Cheese. It's a daily thing every day. Somebody come in and come up with a new idea.
Equity crowdfunding. Throughout history, it's been the innovators and entrepreneurial thinkers that have dared to create solutions to the world's biggest problems, ignoring the naysayers and daring to risk failure in the pursuit of the impossible. In 2010, during the depths of the recession, I worked with a group of people to write the framework for Title III 4A6, the regulation crowdfunding bill, and changed an outdated securities law. This law had prevented 240 million non-accredited Americans with trillions of dollars from investing in startups and private companies. And then we worked for the next 2 years to get it passed through Congress in the Jobs Act bill of 2012. Since helping to get the Jobs Act passed in 2012, I am proud to witness an explosion in crowdfunding investing. The Jobs Act has increased potential investor base exponentially, and it has democratized private investment like nothing else. The equity crowdfunding offerings in the Jobs Act are the most disruptive thing to happen in the financial world in our lifetime. Equity crowdfund investment is all about the collective wisdom of crowds of people, and it is the newest option on the block. In general, there are 3 types of equity crowdfunding campaigns that can be executed by a given company. There is Title III 4A6, which is Regulation CF. There is Reg A+, which allows you to raise up to $50 million. And there's Reg D 506C. Reg CF, this avenue of fundraising, is a complete game changer for early stage businesses that have a community built around them. Reg Cf Equity Crowdfunding campaigns allow businesses to raise a maximum of $1,070,000 from unaccredited investors and will soon increase to $5 million based on approval of the SEC. Equity crowdfunding for businesses empowers the public to not only actively fund the companies they believe in and want to survive, but they can also benefit from the company's growth by owning stock in the company. This Black-owned, woman-owned, and veteran-owned company is giving you the ultimate coffee experience. Let's take a look.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Dope Coffee. I want to say thank you to everyone who's invested in our crowdfunding campaign so far. Look, it's been a really amazing experience. We've had over 60 investors, people just like yourself, friends and family, and folks from our community who've really come out to support our crowdfunding campaign. Look, this is really one of the last messages that we're going to be who've really come out to support our crowdfunding campaign.
Didn't allow them to in 20,000 with their proprietary vending machine, the Pop Shop kiosk. In a mere 47 days, PopCon did what no female founder in global history has ever done. They raised $1.3 million in capital exclusively from crowdfunding investors. Here is another company who happens to be one of our clients who has used equity crowdfunding more successfully than any other company in the world. The story of BrewDog began in 2007 in a derelict shed in an industrial park in northeast Scotland. BrewDog was founded by best friends and homebrewers, James Watt and Martin Dickey. BrewDog was the largest and fastest growing craft brewer in Europe internationally. BrewDog is made up of over 120,000 equity crowdfunding investors who've invested and allowed them to grow into a company with bars ranging from the UK to Tokyo, Scotland, Berlin, Australia, and the United States. BrewDog has raised more through equity crowdfunding than any other company in the world. They have raised $69 million and euros over 7 crowdfunding campaigns, and they have created a $2 billion industry. Debt-based crowd peer lending.
COVID-19 has turned our small world upside down. We are rescheduling as many events as we can, and that takes a huge toll on new business. We will feel the effects of this through 2021. Point Freeze This way is what keeps our family alive and well, so it is imperative that we obtain funding to help us through this. Your support will allow us to grow and keep the charm, magic, and history of Sweet Ruth E. Thank you for considering.
Okay, so how do you get started with crowdfunding? First, you have to do the math. How many people do you need to land on and review your campaign for you to reach your goal of being fully funded? For example, if you want to raise $10,000, that is 200 people at $50 or 400 people at $25. It's never that exact. There's always a combination of different amounts, but still you need to have some sense of how many people will have to donate, invest, or back your campaign. So whatever that number ends up being, you will need thousands of eyeballs to see your campaign for a smaller combination of backers, investors, or donors to take some action and put their money in your crowdfunding campaign. The second thing
So I created the coolest. The coolest is a complete redesign of what a cooler can be. First, you've got this 18-volt rechargeable blender. You don't realize the number of places you can really go for a blended cocktail or smoothie until you've got a blender built right into the lid. You're already carrying around a cooler full of ice and tasty beverages. Why not blend them up and become a summertime hero anytime, anywhere? And what's a party without music? The coolest comes with a removable Bluetooth speaker that connects to any smartphone to wirelessly stream music from up to 30 feet away. It's amazing where speaker technology has come in the last few years. You can skip songs and adjust the volume right from your phone, and this little box can really put out some sound. And since you've got that 18-volt battery for the blender, why not get the most out of it? Maybe your camera battery is low, or maybe you have an iPhone and want to use it after 2 in the afternoon. Recharge your gear wherever you are with this waterproof USB charger. The party doesn't stop just because the sun goes down, and you shouldn't have to freeze your fingers searching endlessly for your favorite drink. The coolest has waterproof LED lights embedded in the lid so you can easily find what you're looking for with the push of a button. One of the biggest hassles of outdoor fun is hauling your gear back and forth from the car, and I've experimented with various ways to solve the problem. I love coolers with wheels, but I hate that they refuse to help carry anything else. The coolest has you covered with locking tie-down bungees, so you can carry all your stuff in just one trip. And what about getting organized to go out in the first place? The coolest helps out almost like a picnic basket to make sure you always have a few key essentials with built-in storage for reusable plates, /cutting boards, and this awesome rust-proof ceramic knife. Plus, the removable divider gives you a whole new level of flexible packing. You can time
to launch your social. Start as early as possible. Aim to launch your social channels a few months before your campaign. This will give you time to build some buzz and get people excited. Then when your campaign's ready to launch, people will be ready to back, invest, or donate. A picture speaks 1,000 words, so don't skimp on your campaign design, logo, or video because first impressions count. You will have to convince strangers that you are trustworthy, reliable, and that you will deliver. Technology is your friend. Get very intimate with it. Every type of crowdfunding, whether it's reward, donation, or equity-based, all depend on your ability to reach a large crowd with your message. The strength of a crowdfunding campaign is in amplifying the buzz around it to a community that is interested in investing in your future. A platform lends legitimacy to it because platforms have honesty and transparency rules that pre-vet crowdfunding campaigns. But no matter what kind of crowdfunding you do, some things remain the same. You must aggressively market it. Drumming up support with a mix of
Spreading love and fire.
To your campaign, not community. You need to drive traffic using social media. Crowdfunding is a public thing and you need to be very visible, both in terms of your brand and your course team. Start building up your presence well before you plan to launch your campaign across social media. Your new potential backers, donors, or investors are born digital, and they will use this presence to help them make their decision. The more you build your audience now, the more people you'll be able to tell about your crowdfunding campaign once it goes live. And we built a great artificial intelligence app that does just that. Historically, city lights, city email addresses for mail addresses. If you had started collecting
Nearly to provide our Michigan healthcare bureaus with nearly 10,000 masks.
And right here, we have 50 masks, which you guys funded.
We started a GoFundMe fund to help feed.
That money then is used to buy meals from these local restaurants.
Any donation can help a family in need.
We are going to be here together to make sure that we feed America in this moment.
At this point, we're at about $300,000 given to over 1,000 people.
We are all just overcome with this outpouring of support from people not only across New York, but all across the world.
Just wanted to say a big thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, and a massive thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone who supported our cause.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Okay, that's our presentation today. As you can see, we tried to give you a little bit of a taste of some of this. You can go to crowdfundingroadmap.com and watch the entire replay. I know Kelly's going to send out an email with a link to the entire event.
Yes, we will follow up with that and send that out. But now it's a great opportunity to ask questions. So please go to the Q&A box and start with those questions. Great opportunity. So we have a few of them already. So let's go to the first one is, how big a crowd do I need to do a crowdfunding campaign?
So it really depends on where the crowd is coming from. For example, if you have already customers, there was a company that had 150,000 subscribers to their software as a service product. And they were able to send an email out to their 150,000 subscribers. And in 5 days, they raised $7.5 million. So it really depends. I mean, there other people have a very small crowd, but they were able to get an enormous amount of publicity. They were written up in Inc. magazine or Entrepreneur magazine, and obviously they got all of the eyeballs from that publicity. And that was the sort of the key that got them to be successful. If you have strategic partners and they have a large, you can tap into, if you're working with them and they want to see you succeed, stay in business or scale, and they want to help you, you can tap into their audience and their customers and their fans and their followers But it's not an exact science. So I can't say, hey, if you have 100 people or 1,000 people, you're going to raise X dollars. It doesn't work that way. And every business is different. Some people are ecstatic about 3D printers and drones, and other people, you know, love things like the coolest cooler. That coolest cooler raised $13.5 million in 30 days. They raised the first $1 million in the first 24 hours. I mean, nobody would have ever imagined that that many people would be interested in essentially owning that cooler. That's what they were doing. They were advancing him the money to be able to go and manufacture the inventory for the prototype. He only had one cooler at the time that he put up that crowdfunding campaign.
Great way to do market research, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
The question number 2 is, how much does it cost to do a Kickstarter campaign?
So it all depends on how much of it you do yourself and how much you outsource. If you are able to make a great video without having to hire people, you know, there's also Fiverr, which has really great, talented people inexpensively that can help you with the social media. You need to do lead gen, you need to do email campaigns and build this crowd up and get them excited. One of the things the Coolest Cooler did in February of 2014, they put up a Facebook page. They told people, they put up that video, which is so, it's a spectacular example of the benefits that people would gather and the problems that people have with the cooler, and why that you would want to own that cooler and support the growth of this company. And so if you don't, you know, if you have a large crowd already, for example, I have over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. I have 70,000 Twitter followers. I have, you know, as Kelly said, I produced a convention in Las Vegas for, since 2012 and I have a large email list of people that opted in not only to attend, but they wanted more information about my convention. So if you have those assets and you don't need to do as much Facebook ads and things like that, then you can do relatively inexpensive or free if you have the skills to do this yourself. Now, the problem is people start these campaigns, they don't know what they're doing. They look at other campaigns, they go, oh, look, this person, all they did was write a little paragraph, put up a little picture or a quick little video, and they raised $25,000 or $50,000. But what they don't understand is that that person had relationships with people who were interested in their either launching a startup or in this case, surviving right now. For example, if you are you have a barbershop or you nail salon or a restaurant and you have patrons who desperately don't want to see you close, they will then come to, you know, if you can convince them to help you now, they will come to your rescue. And that's how, when you saw the slide about the 15,000, it's over 17, 18,000 now from last month who have gone to Gofundme, where there is no reward, there is no equity, and just convince the public to give them money to help them survive.
Next question is, I've been thinking about doing a Kickstarter, but I don't have a product to give as a reward. What is the best way to do rewards in that case?
You could do, if it's, is it a service that the person's trying to crowdfund? If it's a service, there's no product and it's a service, you could say, you know, I will, we'll use nails again. It's $50 to have my nails done. If you give me $50, I will give you $100 worth of nail, you know, I'll do your nails and your toes and, you know, or I'll give you two nail, you know, you can come twice for the $50.
So like a pre-sale.
A pre-sale, yes, exactly.
Oh, it works. Mm-hmm. How much does it cost to do a Kickstarter campaign?
It's a percentage of what you raise. I don't remember the fees at the moment because I haven't been looked at their fees, but they range between free. Some of the platforms are free. They go up to 8-10%, 5%. It just depends. There's thousands of crowdfunding platforms around the world. In fact, there's 52 funding portals, which are the equity platforms that you can sell stock. And those have to be registered with FINRA and the SEC to become a crowdfunding portal. And that's what differentiates them from Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Does your video make or break a project?
Yeah, I think it does, honestly. Because that video is you having a relationship with an unknown group of an audience as many times as you want. And you don't have to be on a phone call, or you don't have to, you know, do a live streaming webinar like this to get you in a passionate way speak to an audience of strangers and compel them to want to help support your business. So it's everything. And statistically, it's been proven that it increases your chances of raising the money by like 90%.
Hey, equity crowdfunding question. My manufacturing business was profitable and now is struggling. It's valued around $6 million. Can I do an equity crowdfunding, and how much will I have to give up as far as ownership?
So you decide how much you want to give up. Yes, you can do an equity crowdfunding campaign. If you have a large customer base, then you know that's a good way, and your customers want to see you continue to survive. That's a great way to do it, because now they have a vested interest. The Brewdog brewery that I showed in the video, they've done this 7 times. They're actually doing it again right now. They have a live crowdfunding campaign. And what they did when they came to the United States to do this the first time is they handed out a little black card, and it says, I'm a shareholder on it. And it allows people to go to one of their bars. They now have 10 breweries around the world, and show that to the bartender. And you know, all of a sudden they're like fawning all over you, and you're getting a discount because you know, and maybe you only put $100 in, but the bartender doesn't know that. And it's just a really great way to create this sort of tribe around, and a culture around all of the investors. And they have over 120,000 equity investors in their company today.
Another good question related to this is, can I invest in small businesses as part of my 401k with equity crowdfunding?
Some platforms you can do that. Yes, you can invest with an IRA. You would have to talk to the platform owners and see how that works. Not every equity crowdfunding, you can't do that in every platform. They're not set up to do that. So it would depend on how the platform was set up.
Okay. So there's questions there. Let's get some more. And of course the question boxes now.
Okay, I see it. Here's one. What do you recommend a business do if they have less than 1,000 followers on Facebook and want to do a crowdfunding campaign? So you have to build followers somewhere. It's not necessarily that you want to drive them to some place to have this conversation with them so they can see how you're progressing and what you're doing. So Facebook has historically been a great place to do that. Like I said, the Coolest Cooler started off in February on Facebook with that video, and they told people to share the video with their friends and bring them back to that group. By the end of by the time they launched in September, so we're talking February to September, they had 70,000 Facebook friends in that group. And that's how they were able to launch on day one and raise $1 million, because they had these people just really sort of excited. And it's almost the same thing that happens when the Apple Store says, or used to happen, the Apple Store would say, we're coming out with a new phone, and people would line up around the block for 2 days before that new phone. There was that sense of I have to have this. And if you have that kind of product, you have a greater chance of building up that kind of excitement.
Ruth, will crowdfunding work for B2B companies?
Yeah, of course.
We're starting up a bagel cafe. What type of crowdfunding would you recommend we use?
I would do right now, the easiest and the fastest way would be to do something on Indiegogo. Now, Kickstarter is what's called all or nothing. And that means if you tell the backers in your campaign page that you want to raise $25,000 and you only raise $15,000 or $20,000, they will not give you the money. Indiegogo is you get to keep whatever you raise. And I would do that with some kind of, thing where they give you $25 now, and when they come to the store, they can get, $35, $40. You can have different rewards on the side of from your menu, just fun things off of your menu that they would get that would be at a reduced, obviously they were advancing you the money. So you would give them $50 worth of food for $30 worth of crowdfund money, something like that.
What are the key 3 steps you covered, figuring out how much you need? And then what are the steps after that? So what are the key steps to figuring out how much you need to crowdfund for? And then what are the main steps after that?
Okay, so figuring out what you need to crowdfund is going to be different for every company. I mean, some people are trying to cover payroll on a Gofundme. Some people are trying to launch, like the bagel company, they're a startup. So they obviously are going to have a whole bunch of different costs involved. They need to look at where the other funds are coming from, and whatever the difference is that they're missing, then they should attempt to crowdfund that. But you shouldn't ask for more money. You should actually ask for less money and then get oversubscribed, because it's psychologically, all of the people that show up and see, wow, look, they were only trying to raise $10,000 and they've already raised $20,000. Something very exciting is going on here. Let me see what that is.
Okay, next question. And you did kind of allude to this with the brewery, but are there restrictions on type of businesses that can use crowdfunding, for example, alcohol or cannabis? And maybe that's the reward site.
No, actually, we are doing an equity crowdfunding for Golden Seed, and it's a whole farm in your neck of the woods that's growing cannabis.
Can you actually use alcohol as a reward in a crowdfunding campaign?
You can give people coupons. I would have to check on whether you could actually ship, like as you physically shipping the alcohol. I don't think that, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't like to get into all those kind of legal things.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a state by state.
Yeah, it's a state by state thing. And I think, but you could definitely give somebody a coupon for a restaurant and they can go in and buy a glass of wine,
Okay, well, that's the last of our questions. Ruth, I got to say, we've had a lot of success at the SBDC with crowdfunding, not as much as we would like. We do have a case today that's going, a bakery that we're going to be discussing, and it's a great opportunity for people to raise funds and for people that are your customers and in your community to be part of your success. And it's something that we want to help out. I know Ruth wants to help. We're going to send the link out for the entire conference, again, 2,000 attendees. And so there's going to be a lot of resources, but do keep it in mind. There's a lot of different variables, and we're all here to help, right?
Yes, absolutely. And this has been going on for over a decade. So those of you that answered the poll question, it's obvious a lot of you haven't really seen a lot of this around. That is something that frustrates me dramatically because I have desperately tried to, and Kelly knows this because he's been to my conference in Vegas. We had people from 25 countries come. We've had thousands and thousands of people attend over the years and take this information back to where they came from, bring it back to government offices, all kinds of things. So we're really trying to help small businesses use crowdfunding, and I would love to help any of you that need it, and we'll send you some information on how we can work together.
Ruth, I don't know if you know this, but my son in 2014 crowdfunded a food truck. In 2019, he had such great timing. He crowdfunded a brick and mortar restaurant as part of it. And with his case, and with many other cases, the great aspect is the crowdfunding can actually be used as capital to leverage other debt and get other financing.
Exactly.
it's really a sweet deal, and we really want to do more of these, and we really want to see it take off to where it really deserves to.
And it's also convinces angel investors that there is real interest from consumers, because your investors are your consumers and your advocates. They're out there running around talking about, I own stock in this company, or I just helped launch this company and you should go check them out. This stuff is really cool. So it's a win-win-win.
And it is an actual process to where it is a proven process, almost to where you can look at a campaign and you can have a strategy going in there, and you can almost see by maybe having a large number of your committed individuals already make early contributions, for example, like you had mentioned, to gain traction. There is a formula for these things to succeed. It's not a throw it on the internet and hope they come. There is a formula out there.
There's no build it and they will come. There's no field of dreams here, but it's a very specific process that very committed people have been extremely successful doing. Everyone's not, it's just like all these other forms of capital. Everyone doesn't get an angel investor. Everyone doesn't get a VC. Everyone doesn't get a small business loan or PPP loan. And everybody doesn't succeed at crowdfunding, but everyone can try crowdfunding. There's no barrier to entry as there is to these other forms of capital. If you're willing to do the work that is involved in bringing a crowd to your offering and creating a beautiful offering page and a great video, you have a great chance of raising some money.
And we got one last question. Can crowdfunding work for nonprofits?
Oh, absolutely. There's
absolutely
donors,
especially
choice.
Nowadays.
Yeah. Donors choice. There's a whole bunch of platforms for nonprofit, just for nonprofit crowdfunding. In fact, Gofundme has a nonprofit platform or a link. I don't know. It's like Gofundme / something, and it's all nonprofit and it's free. They don't charge you anything.
Well, people, we're running a little long, like we tend to do. It works. It simply works. If you have a plan, it's not easy. It's hard work, your campaign. You got to jump in. You got to do a lot of work. You got to be active in it every day. Some of the things that I've seen our clients succeed in is they have a plan going in. They have a small, as Ruth mentioned, a small amount to gain. But then when they hit that, they have stretch goals. And then the thing can blow up. Gets traction and just spins out of control, like several of the examples we've talked about today. So Ruth, parting shot, please.
So let me just say this. This is the thing about crowdfunding. None of the work that you do goes to waste, even if you don't raise a lot of money, because you are building an audience for your product or service anyways. All you're doing is adding different messages. So maybe in the morning you're posting about a sale you might have in your fashion boutique, and in the afternoon you're telling people that you're crowdfunding. And so none of that is wasted. The video's not wasted. You know, the discipline that's involved in building a crowd is great, because it's the same thing to build a customer base. So it's a very good use of your time. And it helps you clean up a lot of stuff, like, you know, your LinkedIn profile and things like that. You really have to show up ready for prime time when you crowdfund, because people are going to be Googling you and looking around, and you want to, you know, put on your best foot forward.
People want to be part of your success. Your customers want to be part of your success, and then they end up being zealots. They tell everybody.
Everybody, yes.
The actual customer service and marketing aspect of it are just phenomenal. Customer research.
Yeah.
Okay, Ruth, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me to do this. And like I said, please everyone go look at crowdfundingroadmap.com, and you can learn more about crowdfunding.
Let's crowdfund, people. Okay, Ruth, thank you very much. Well, for Ruth, I'm Kelly Bearden. We'll be back next week with more. Finally, financial resources are out there. Get them. Crowdfunding is a great way to get it. So thanks again, Ruth. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Take care. Thanks.